the producer, Mr. Karthik Savarish. Karthik, first of all, congratulations on the film, and thank you so much for presenting the film in person at IFFR. I will start with a quote that you gave in one of the interviews during the film's release in India. You said this film was born of innocence, madness, and stupidity. So can you talk to us about how this film came about, and why did you decide to make this film as your first?
I don't know. It's very hard to break down instincts, but I think it's just comes out from my own environment, the films I've watched, the life I have lived, all the amalgamation of it, and my love of landscape of Himalayas or whatever. So I was 23 or something when I started writing it. It took me 6 years to make it. So I really don't know the craft. I don't know anything much about. I mean, like this is my first film. I have some thoughts to express, some experiences to create, but I don't think I was completely skilled also. So that's why I would say stupidity and all those things. The thing is, we started making the film when we actually had no money at all. It's like we needed like 80 lakhs to make the film, and we just had 7 lakhs in our bank account. So you have two options. Either stop the project or you go. But we actually went and completed 10 days of shoot with 7 days. That's a very stupid thing to do, because if that film is not further funded, you will lose all the money. From there, we went to humongous business numbers over 5-6 years, like tens and crores of money. So you wouldn't, from there to here, the journey was completely, it doesn't make any sense. It shouldn't work, it doesn't work like that. So that's why I would say it's, the madness of what I believed in the script took me there. So madness, stupidity, everything comes from there. I think all initial first films do have that to different degrees and stuff. So yeah.
Thank you. You interviewed three different stories, and three very different stories rather. And throughout the film, as a viewer, the viewer is asking, how is it all going to come together? So how did it all come together while you were developing it as a writer?
Yeah, I think that's what it was supposed to work like a puzzle, which the end result is supposed to give you an emotional hit. So that was the structure was supposed to be like that. I usually when three parallel stories are being cut together, you somehow have an idea of how they are related. Either they are connected by a theme, or they're connected by a location or something. But here you don't actually get it. It kind of bothers you a little bit. But I thought the end, when the character actually realizes that thing, the audience experience the subjective of the character. So the whole purpose of the structure and edit was directed towards that goal. So the process of writing it, I think it was amateurish, but the intention was sincere.
Wonderful. I want to dig deep on the production of the film, and maybe Karthik can come in. I mean, this is one of probably the first partly crowd-funded Telugu film.
Yeah.
So watching this film, I mean, with so much CGI work, shooting in the Himalayas, I mean, this couldn't have been crowd-funded in any way, right? I mean, so at what point, I mean, when we were trying to go for crowdfunding, was all this there? I mean, the CGI, the Himalayas?
Everything was pretty much there. And,
okay.
But the thing is, like, we didn't foresee the costing of it.
Okay.
So I was blind, like, I just want to support his idea of making this film happen. And I was even excited when I heard the story. But it's purely madness. Even I don't know, it would cost us much, by the end of the film.
Yeah. It was a blind job.
It's a blind job.
Okay. I have more questions, but I'll come back after the audience comments. I'll open up the floor to audience for their questions, comments, impressions, anything at all. Oh yeah, please. Yeah. Either of you.
You'll go first.
Okay. I would like to congratulate you too, because I think it's an amazing film. And how you made it, I mean, with crowdfunding and just stupidity. Well done.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, I also wanted to say, if this is your very first film, that's amazing. It's actually a really good movie, and I feel sorry that there aren't that many people. I wish a lot more people will see this because it's really good. So job well done.
Oh,
And,
thanks a lot. That means a lot. You won't believe me. Like, this is very satisfactory to me. I was expecting an empty crowd.
Well, good. I had two questions, which are just me personally. I noticed there is lots of in English spoken in between
Yes,
like in middle
yes,
of the
yes.
and I also noticed anytime someone was smoking or drinking, there's this label
Yes,
on the.
yes.
I like, is that typical for so the label, I assume, is because Indian government
Yes, yes,
obliges
yes.
that, else you can't show it in
Yeah.
public. But
You
also
were actu-
it's
you
also
were actually lucky you didn't get to see another 4 minutes of documentaries which are mandatory by Indian government.
oh wow oh and the English
They're going to show you how tobacco is harmful to you in a very gory documentary of 4 minutes, opening 2 minutes and interval 2 minutes. This actually has an intermission, but I watched the film for the first time without an intermission. In India, we don't watch the complete film. We have intermission, and whenever you have a smoking thing, you're supposed to have the thing. So surprisingly, there's one interesting trivia I can tell you. Martin Scorsese was so annoyed by it, so he just put the whole tag for the whole film because he just didn't want it to come and go and come and go.
This was for the Irishman, I believe, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Wow. And the English in between, is that also typical for Indian films?
Not really, not really. But I think that's what somehow this film is trying to represent two characters who come from different culture. So one person comes from an aesthetic, it's from Varanasi and all those places where they speak either Hindi or whatever it is. And this girl comes from metro place. So there we wanted to have a contrast of it. And they do speak in the language like English, whatever they are. So it was not done any changes.
It's also in India, in the culture.
It's there. In metro cities, we do speak Mumbai, like it's all the same. Yeah.
Yeah, and speaking purely Indian language, I can't imagine. It feels very academic.
It doesn't work.
Yeah.
Even we don't know our own mother tongues actually.
Yes.
I was wondering if you had any specific like directors or movies that inspired your work. Like, I don't know, you mentioned Scorsese. I don't know if he was an inspiration or if there's other directors that you drew creative ideas from or that kind of thing, or if it was like
I
purely.
mean, you can even use the word copied also. It's like it's like for us, I think I grew up watching a lot of the world cinema on a laptop. Like for us, it's torrent. We don't have any stores or something. So torrent is like a very big film festival for us. Like from. So for this, there were several inspirations. I mean, like I think from Park Chan-wook was one of the huge inspirations, and in terms of I'm a huge admirer of David Fincher, and I don't know the number. So, and there's another great Indian filmmaker called Pan Allen, which very few people know, and there are some very old filmmakers whom I grew up watching. Someone called Vitlacharya. He used to make very weird. The characters want very weird things. It's like there are curses, there are transformations. The effects are very B-grade-ish and all, and the aesthetic is very different. So there's some of it in it, and there's what do you call, a lot of slasher films, and Revenant is also a bit of it. And there's Meera Nair from India. There's someone who makes water was an inspiration. I don't know. There's several. They're not coming to me much. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah, I also want to congratulate you both. I think it is an amazing movie with tension, with kind of funny parts as well. That is long, but it doesn't feel that long because it's like a roller coaster as well. I really enjoyed it, and the sound as well, amazing. No, the addition of the sound and how it creates certain feelings along the film is crazy. I wanted also to ask you about the subtitles, for instance, in English. If that's like a real way to get into the dialogues and everything, or is something that probably for us that do not speak the languages, we miss things?
Yes, and so I'll be honest, this is the first time I'm watching a film with subtitles. And I delegated that job to my assistant, like my co-writer. He took care of it because when this film was theatrically released in India, we were in a hustle. So for the overseas prints, they're supposed to have the subtitles. So I didn't really supervise the subtitles, but I think they didn't do proper justice to the dialogue. So I'm being more critical on my own work. So I think the subtitles could have been, they missed the essence of the dialogues a little bit. And I think that is a challenge with subtitles. So I'm looking forward to explore that in my further films. Yeah.
Yeah, I have a question about the place of Gaami in Telugu cinema in general, because I would imagine this is a slightly more experimental work than the traditional Telugu mainstream blockbuster. I was wondering whether there were considerations of whether the audience would understand this complexity, because you're always cross-cutting, and as you progress it becomes even more intricate. So were there kind of negotiations as to, okay, this is too experimental, okay, I should kind of dilute it down while writing this film, or even maybe editing this film?
No, not at all in terms of the market, but in terms of the vision and artistic goal, we were trying to make it understandable. For suppose you want a particular emotional reaction to evoke, but for that, a particular exposition has to be clearly understood well. Or some scenes have to, the way people think, you need some visual or something to properly create the desired thought. So it's just for that we were worried about it. We never were worried. We know we were making. We really expected the film to not work at all at the box office, but surprisingly it did. So when we were making itself, we know this is not for everybody. This is going to be for limited people. So let's be free and let's make it cheaper. But that was not there. So, but we made sure that they understand what at least we are trying to do. There was no something to put something so that they will like it. Yeah. There were 2-3 stuff which I was requested by the exhibitors or the distributors, but that didn't bother me much. So I did use them as an advantage and make it work. So yeah.
Can you maybe name one of them?
I mean, like if you see the soundtrack, usually you will be hearing a lot of lyrics, which is not actually usual. For us, it's always the instrumentals. But in India, it's like the vocal is very dominant. Actually, it's like the lyrics are spoken and they speak. Like I preferred, like just like everybody, a lot of world cinema, the soundtrack is very instrumental. Like it's just orchestrated or electronic or whatever it is. But in India, a voice plays a very key role, is what I understood. It's not just voice; they have to be spoken with the lyrical. They have to be a song, literally. It's like a song. There's some primal connection. The way the culture works is what I think. Surprisingly, it did work. Whatever the people who suggested all, I think there is a science to it also, because the vocal is like the highest pitch of all the instruments. In an orchestration, if you put all the orchestration, and if you want something to be heard, the final thing you can go for is a human voice. So there's some strange thing which was. So I was trying to find the balance.
Okay, very interesting. I have one more question about the action scenes, but before that, if the audience has comments, yes, ma'am.
I wondered, why did you choose a French lyric in the film? Because I thought, what the hell is this doing here? So tell me.
There's a very interesting backstory for that specific song, actually. It's called The Sister's Nun. It has a lot of backstory of, so that story, whatever the lab has a lot of backstory. It's regarding, it's kind of a cult. where they are trying to treat homosexuality. That is the backstory of it. So there are some cultural relations to that song, and on a simple level, that song made me feel very creepy in that environment. The contrast of it was something very creepy to me. So I expected that is what they would feel. So, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, just another question in terms of IFFR, that is the premiere here in the Netherlands, but if you have shown the film already in India or in other contexts, and how has been received?
In India, yes, it's the film in. See, usually what happens is a lot of film festivals they would require a world premiere, but in like I made this film for people to enjoy it in a theater. I would love a film festival, but end of the day for me, it's my town people or my city people watching it in a theater and experiencing the emotions was the most important to me. So we prioritize the theatrical release first, and after that is done, luckily I happened to get a Dutch premiere here. It was not released in Netherlands in Dutch. So, sorry, what was your question again?
What was the response?
How was perceived?
Oh well, it was received. Yeah, surprisingly good. Good. I mean, they were. Yes, it is surprisingly good because even watching it now, I see a lot of issues and all, but it was surprisingly good because it was usually for us we can't watch such a dark film. It's kind of relatively dark to what we do usually. It's more colorful. You have to have a humor. You have to have a romantic subplot. You have to have a heroic, over-the-top heroic, proper archetypical figure. You have to have an active character. There are a lot of tick boxes, and this film has none of it. So there's no way this film was supposed to work commercially, but it did break even, and it don't want to get numbers, but they were good enough for someone to prove that okay, this was safe economically. That was all we wanted, much. Yeah. But there was criticism too, actually. We have different categories like this. Something called BC centers. They do that, like more rural India or rural towns. That was it was very. The reception was not so good. They were not tuned to the abrupt cuts or something like that. That was very. It was like, what is this? What is this? What is this? So it was a good learning curve for me, but I did them from my own instinct, so it was good to learn. And there was some of them for us it was relatively the issue becomes slow. Actually, again, slow is again relative. It depends on the emotional palette of the film because the film doesn't have very stimulative emotions like we have usually heroic scenes or romantic scene or stuff which are high stimulant. Because the film doesn't deal with high stimulant emotions, it might feel a bit low at parts, and a good amount of people did feel that too. So it was a good mixed like a criticism and good balance of reception we had there.
We have time for one last question. Yes, sir.
Thanks, Vidyadhar and Karthik, bringing this experience to the international audience here. Fantastic, really amazing performances, nice artwork, everything is good. I know the journey of Gaami. At least I was part of a little part of the.
He's one of our investors. He's one of our investors.
Yeah, yeah. So one question. So after Gaami release in India, and now you're introduced to the international audience here. What is your future work going to be? Did you find your slot in India, or how is it going to be your next future work? Because the first work was crowdfunding. You have a lot of struggles, but after the success of Gaami, where do you see yourself?
I'm trying to see it in a very simple way because I don't think nothing changes. Fundamentally, it comes down to you have a burning story to tell. The next thing is either finding a hook or crook way to make it happen. So I wouldn't say like this film is going to open a lot of doors to me. Yeah, it does. Like there are a lot of investors who wants to invest. There are a lot of there is a curious market, people who wants to do. But I think that is not going to help anything if you don't have a burning story inside you. I think I kind of have that, which I'm struggling to write now. But once that happens, I'll figure out a way to get funded, figure out a way to get it executed. So it's as simple as that. And then being greedy and making the film reach to as many people as you can.
Yeah.
So simple as it is.
I'm sure this film festival will help you to grow further. Yeah.
Nice.
Thank you.
We hope that story comes out into the world very soon. And
Yeah.
On that note, I would like to thank Vidyadhar and Karthik for personally coming here presenting the film. And we hope that you will return to the festival in the future years. Thank you so much and good luck with your future
Thanks
work.
a lot. Thanks
Thank
a lot.
you.
Thank you.
For your insightful questions. Thank you so much.